Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, on over to my side here, I have the all-amazing, all-famous Laphel!
Oh my god, that was more powerful than I thought. Thank you very much for having me on, Abstract. Like, this is awesome. Like, I appreciate that you calling me here.
And now, of course, the thing is, for those people that don't know him, which is very unlikely, if you don't know, you should probably do something about your life right now and go and watch a lot more MPL MY MSC as well as M series events. He is Laphel, and he is from Malaysia, and he is now predominantly, or if not, he is in the MPL MY series all the way from the start to the end. He's mostly in the Bahasa Melayu broadcast, but every now and then he also appears in the English stream. And not to forget, he also casted in the most recent MSC, if you caught that. And of course, let's not forget about the fact that we are also looking at him in a lot of the M series tournaments as well. You know, quick little introduction of yourself, Laphel, who you are besides from the things that I said.
Sure. So started in MPL Malaysia Season 4, and I've been here since. Been doing quite a lot of international events, including Snapdragon. That was pretty fun. But yeah, did a lot of MSC, doing a lot of M series. It's all been great. Mostly BM cast, but yeah, every once in a while I go on to English, and now and then doing a lot of hosting as well. So that's fun. Mostly we'll like the ladies to do it, but every once in a while, I'm gonna step in.
I mean, he does have the voice, right? And
thank you.
You really do. Like, you are the one that announced the team's introduction during the MSC.
But dude, you have the voice as well. It's like buttery smooth.
Not as good as yours, dude. Like when we were live in the venue, in the event, your voice is the kind that like reverberates around the entire venue, and it sounds powerful. It sounds dominating, and of course you have the control of the entire stadium. Like Grumpy and I, we were like, where the heck? Where's that voice coming from? Who did they hire? And then on top of the stage, we have you just like, oh! I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been practicing. It's sort of a weird thing to practice, but it's trying to have that small vibrations when you talk. I don't know. It's such a weird thing to practice, but hey, it paid off. It paid off. You know, it works.
Trust me, it definitely paid off. Okay, so we're gonna go back into topic, and speaking of the topic, what that is today, this week, we are gonna be looking at team identity, and we are gonna be extracting MPL SG Season 6 Week 1 footages to take a look at what are the teams identity, how do they play, and so on and so forth. We want to go super in depth, but we are going to definitely give you guys a very good idea as to how Laphel crafts his own team identity and how he decides if whether a team does well or if they drafted well, so on and so forth. But I'm not the guy that can say, too much about team identity. I'm not too good at that as well. That's why I have Laphel here. So tell us a little bit more about your definition of team identity.
So team identity is basically how they enjoy the game, or how do they establish the best way to win. Basically, it's like the strengths and weaknesses, the thing that brings the team character. And sometimes the team character comes from the coach, basically identifying like, oh, this is our strength, this is our weakness, this is what we're gonna do. Or players, because they're just like, yo, I'm one of the best goal laners in the league, so let's just draft our gameplay around me. And that's how they basically create their identity.
Okay, so
sorry, the Azan is playing. Sorry.
It's okay. All good. Okay, so the thing is, because we are only going to be looking at the week 1 games, so that means, or rather week 1 day 1 games, that means that we have limited amount of footage from each team. In fact, we have 2 games out of every single one of these teams, except for RSG versus Flash. We have 3 games of that because it went to a full 3-game series. But regardless, we will do our best to really bring out information regarding that. So I would believe that it's not going to be a lot about comfort picks out of the players itself, but it's a lot more about looking at the team as well as its draft from a top-down approach. So how this is gonna be like is that I will, at the bottom of the screen, I will be showing you drafts. So the first phase draft, which consists of the first 3 bands of each team and first 3 picks of each team, followed by a full draft, which is all 5 picks and 5 bands of each team. From that point onwards, once we have finished, managed to get our theory craft, we will then look at videos. We'll look at highlights of each game and take a look at if whether it gives us even more information about how a certain team plays, and then we'll have an evaluation as to what exactly is their team identity. So
I appreciate that you actually brought it up that we're going to look at the draft first, because I even talked to some of the coaches and majority are saying that 80% of the game win is from the draft. Like, it's crazy how the meta keeps on changing, and because of the new emblem changes, it made it so that the draft is almost more important than how good the players are. So yeah, I feel like the draft is pretty key in understanding the priorities. So understanding like basically their identities through their priorities. So that's great. Can't wait to see the drafts.
Okay, so we're gonna be taking a look at series number 1, and that is between Homebois versus Alchemy. This is the draft.
All right. So first and foremost, honestly, so the first thing that you want to do, right, when you're looking at the identity when it comes to the draft is definitely the bands, because sometimes the bands are too telling. One red flag is if they're just banning out like super meta stuff, like the super OP heroes. That kind of indicates that they're not really having something specific in mind, which is not amazing. And sometimes when you look at the bans, it's very hyper focused on one core problem. Like, for example, if you see like a Yuzong ban, a Fanny ban, and a Ling ban, that kind of shows that backline, right? Your backline is going to be very, very difficult to, your backline is very vulnerable to getting attacked. So looking at Homebois, the way that they ban out, Kadita is kind of like showing that you're going to have an immobile damage dealer, whether it'll be your mid laner or your gold laner, which Brody and Novaria can be considered as that, as well as the Claude, because both these heroes can go to the backline. Same with Kaja. So this does show that, according to Homebois, one of their identities is their core damage dealer. So they want to make sure that if any problem is going to come up, it's going to come from the front, not from flanks or any kind of other areas that they can't protect. For Alchemy here, it's pretty interesting. They're banning out the Joy as well as the Eve, which both is also towards the marksman. But the Fredrin here, I kind of feel like because they see the bans coming up, they really just don't want a very tanky front line for Homebois. Maybe they know something about their jungler, or they just have a rough idea that, okay, if you have the Fredrin, we will not be having like any ways to answer that. So looking at the bans, it does look like Homebois, they're putting a lot of help towards the gold lane and the mid. Looking at Alchemy, kind of the same thing, but they're kind of like reacting as well, saying that, okay, you know what, we see what you're doing, so we're adjusting our bans according to what you're doing.
Okay, so the main thing that we're looking out for the first 3 pick, does it really, show anything out of the teams just yet?
I feel weird that the Brody was picked up very early, so I'm gonna assume that the Fanny was the first 2 picks. I'm assuming.
Yes, the Fanny's first 2 pick.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like the gold laner is pretty versatile when it comes to the marksmen that he can use. So he's just like, okay, I already see the Fanny, I'm really not that worried about any other things. The Novaria is very weird. I don't know if the Novaria is a comfort pick or not, because the Brody has a way to protect himself from the Fanny. Novaria, not so much. Picking up the Fanny early kind of indicates that they understand the problem that Homebois is trying to mitigate. So having someone to really make sure that they can delete someone in the backlines. I feel like Alchemy, looking at the draft here, is pretty reactive. Homebois, they're trying to set things up, but at the same time, they're trying to prevent any loses after this. So in terms of the bans and the picks, Alchemy looks very, very responsive. It's just like, yeah, I see the problems that you guys have. I'm going to try to provide that problem. And Homebois, not so sure about the Novaria. I guess because of that, I have to see the rest of the draft.
Okay, so as of the recording right now, we are done with week 2 of MPL SG. and we started to see a little bit more of how homeboys play. And it is fair to conclude that Pex is disgustingly good with the Novaria.
Ah, I see. I
Mm.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that with that in your mind, we are now going to be looking at the full draft of Homeboys versus Alchemy as shown here.
All right. So ending off Alchemy of Glue as well as the Melissa, Terizla, as well as the Martis. The Terizla, I think, is a very solid pick, and it does show why you want to ban those three heroes, Karita, Claude, as well as Kaja. It's just because, well, Kaja you can deal. Terizla is fine against the Kaja, but against the Claude as well as the Kadita, it's kind of like you're a very a very heavy shield in the front, but they kind of don't care about heavy shields in the front. Alchemy here, Glue against the Terizla. Terizla is kind of good against the Glue. So, Alchemy, looking at that draft, is like very solid heroes, but they're kind of like doing their own thing. Not much synergy here, especially because Homeboys, I kind of. Was the Melissa picked up first before the Glue?
The Melissa was picked last, so that was the
Okay.
final counter pick.
Okay. Which is kind of odd because Homeboys, they picked up the Teresa and Martis at the same time, and then the last one is Melissa. So the Martis is very good against the Melissa. So I kind of feel like the Melissa is kind of a comfort, I guess. They're just like, yeah, it's a good hero to fight against me, but we should be able to handle with it. So Glue is supposed to be the front line. The Kufra is supposed to be the counter engage or the setup if everyone is collectively together. So looking at the draft here, Alchemy banning out Sho as well as Franco. Okay, understandable. Fanny. Harif as well as Bruno. Okay, yeah, Harif and Bruno is going to be quite good against Homeboys lineup. So when it comes to the identity, Homeboys, yeah, a lot of protection up front. Very beefy. Alchemy, a little bit of everything. It's pretty flexible, but at the same time, it's not too focused, which can be good, can be bad.
Okay, so with that said about the draft, we can now take a look at the very first game itself, and that is going to be the first highlight. This highlight is going to be happening in 1 minute and 45 seconds. Every time we continue talking, once we are done about talking about a certain clip, we'll then roll the next one. As you can see right here, let us roll the clip.
That they want to, kind of snowball and get him that lead, especially so. Well, I guess the best.
Wait, the Fanny is on Homeboy side? Did he just stole the buff?
Fanny is on the Alchemy, Alchemy side, the right side, and did he stole the buff? Or did he steal the buff?
Kind of snowball and get him
Right?
that lead.
He's at the orange buff, right? Orange buff of Homeboy side? Right?
Orange.
Especially so.
It seems like it, yeah. He went for the aggressive. He went for the aggressive.
And shut him down
And Homeboys didn't notice, okay. And he did take the orange buff. Okay, that's pretty good.
But their own orange buff is gone as well.
Oh, so it's reaction. So it's just like, oh, you already took mine, so I might as well take yours. Okay.
Seems like it, yes.
Alright.
They're trying to wave clear right now, but the turtle has already started. It's already getting bursted out so quickly, and that's how the Mart is right.
So this highlights the first turtle take. There is no response. There is no challenge at all.
Yeah, two things. Number one, it's probably because Homeboys is winning both lanes, and we look at the positioning from the Brody as well as the Terizla. They're kind of like cutting off their point of moving towards the turtle or going towards the riverside. And because it looks like Super Jocks is having a faster clear here compared to Icon, that Icon had to go and take the orange buff from the Homeboy side. And generally, Martis, Fredrin, all these utility, heavy frontline junglers, they're much better at securing the turtle compared to assassins, except for Lancelot. Lancelot is pretty good at securing turtles as well as Lord. So I kind of feel like here, Alchemy is being a little bit passive, which is not great, but looking at the draft as well, they don't have a very clear win condition that they want to go to. It's kind of like we have 2-3 ways to win the game, but at the same time, you need a very good shot caller to determine what should we do at what time. Because when you have a lot of options, it's good and bad. Good in flexibility, bad in over cluttering your hit space. So it does seem like here, based on the early stats, Alchemy is playing it very passively while Homeboys is trying to have a little bit more river as well as jungle domination.
So more space for the side of Homeboys, at least for the side of Alchemy. They are just
I guess
working on kills for now.
I feel like, especially because with the Novaria, you can keep on opening the map, so you have a rough idea where the jungler is, right? So you just go towards the orange buff. He's not here. He's probably around purple. If you throw it around the purple, he's not here. He's probably around orange. So, okay, it's a good mental note to take.
Okay, we'll look at the second
Nice
clip.
rotations there. I mean, for a moment, I thought Jock's a little bit slow, right? Trying to finish up that kill, but he actually
Yeah, just looking at the levels, can we go back again? Oh, okay, never mind. Stop here. The jungler is level 6, the EXP is level 6, the Super Jocks is level 7. Yeah, it does seem like Alchemy, they're being a little bit too passive here going up against Homeboys, because looking across the board, it does seem like everyone is a level ahead. Well, not everyone, but Enya here is level 6, Pacifist is level 5, having 1 death. Yeah, I don't know, just by looking at this general direction, it looks like Alchemy are overwhelming themselves by not being too sure what they want to do. So, might be a detriment for them to respond to the Homeboys draft a little bit too much.
I just say that's sniped by Pax.
This doesn't bode well. Vayner has full control.
And yeah, this is the jungle control where I thought was gonna happen, since they have a Novaria and they have a Martis. You know, the Terizla as well. Especially going up against a Fanny, you just take 1 or 2 jungle creeps and that's fine. You don't have to take every single one of them. So, Homeboys, it looks like they're very aggressive at the mid game kind of team with their draft and with how they're moving right now, and how they've been securing more levels than the opponent.
It seems like more of a macro game for the side of Homeboys
Yeah.
so far, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it's like macro that has been enhanced by their draft. Their draft really allows them to do these kind of things.
So they have very good setup, especially when it comes down to Veer. He's pretty much the front line. He kind of plays the same role as the Kufra on the opposite end. So they kind of mirror each other to a certain extent, but I believe that Homeboy still have a better advantage in team fights.
Yeah, I would say so. Because I would say the win condition for Alchemy is for Icon to kind of like make Puts and Enya unplayable. You know, as long as they're not there, Homeboys won't have enough damage. Like the damage will be on Alchemy, but it's really all on Icon. And I feel like with this kind of jungle domination from Homeboys, it's not gonna be an easy game. Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Wow. 2 turrets already. Tier 1 on the top turret, tier 1 on the bottom turret as well. Alchemy. It's kind of.
I feel like I have heard of Pacifist's name before, but I don't know why. Was he in Snapdragon? Can't remember.
Did Alchemy play in Snapdragon? I think they did, right?
No, the thing is, was he always with this team or was he with another team? Because I remember his name, the rest I don't remember that much.
He was with Alchemy since the previous season. Like the season before the previous one, which is season 4. We are currently at season 6. Season 4, he was the coach of Alchemy for like maybe half of the season. And then he subbed in as the roamer. And then season 5, he was there the entire time as a roamer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I feel like I've made a joke about him being like, oh, see, he's not taking fights, or he's forcing fights, even though his name is Pacifist. I don't know. I feel like if it's not him, then it's another person that just uses the same name. Okay, sorry for interrupting. Yeah,
it might be him. Maybe. Well,
Alchemy, how can they come back from this?
I mean, this is what we talked about, right? Alchemy coming up from.
This is minute 6, and Homeboys is already moving as 4. Very good, very interesting. Not a lot of teams have that urgency, which is also a good way to see the team identity of when they start grouping up. Was it SMG? No, actually, wait, no, it's Homeboys Malaysia as well. Around 5 to 7 minutes, that's where they will start to move together. And let's see. Ever since Homeboys Malaysia was in MPL Malaysia, their jungler Chibi is never not in the top 3 of most turtles secured. Yeah, and Lord, yeah. Every single season since their debut, never any other team has had a jungler that has secured that much turtles and lords consistently. That was like what, season 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Now it's
12. For 6 seasons, always on the top 3. They have this identity between the 5 to 7 minute mark. Screw your lanes, everyone just go together.
What? Is it that
So
kind of detrimental to a certain extent?
Apparently not, because for them, they've really put it in their heads when the minions will spawn every single time. And the way that they win the lanes, sometimes they don't even win the lane. Sometimes they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna sacrifice this and we're just gonna confirm to get the turtle.
Oh.
And they've basically gotten every single turtle. And the crazy thing is, it's hard to imagine Chibi the jungler having that much turtles because his teammates sometimes steal it for him. Which is a meme. Which is a meme in Malaysia. There's like
more?
they have 4 red trees. They have 5 red trees. It's so crazy.
What?
Yeah, it's for 6 seasons, mind you. For 6 seasons. So it kind of looks like Homeboys Singapore is kind of like doing the same thing between the 5 to 7 minute mark. They'll just abandon their lanes for a while, move together, get the turtle, and then go back to work like usual, you know?
Okay. Maybe I think we still have
Because
one
it needs to
more
be able to
turtle.
tank, because right now,
Okay.
Oh, I think the third turtle wasn't recorded because it was still another uncontested one.
Ah, okay.
Dogs going in for the first hunter strike, then built in tanking it. So you need someone to have soak up some form of damage.
But look at even the Lord, look at how they're moving together.
When he goes in,
They're
It's
very fast at
early.
getting.
Yeah.
and attack.
Yeah.
Soft Eyes is perfect.
Something about Homeboys, man. They love to fight in the river.
Just setting up
And like RSG Malaysia, they really like fighting in very tight spots.
because it's
That's also another thing to see their identity. They've got to a level of discipline. Do not fight unless we're at our favorite spot, basically.
Ah.
Yeah, which I think is very hard to do because playing the game ourselves, we're just like, oh, we see
want
an
the
opportunity.
action.
You just want to go for it, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes they're very disciplined. It's like, if this is not our area, we're not gonna fight.
Ah. Okay. Okay. Now we look at okay. We still got 3 more clips out of this game.
in the mid game, but kind of falls off a little bit in the late game. It all based on how whether packs actually
Okay, now I'm seeing Alchemy moving together, opening the map with the Novaria ult.
connects to board. That's great.
Not trying to
Bottom lane, that's the turret already down.
Yeah, it does seem like Homeboys here is a very river heavy team because look at how they really just sacrifice their own turret. Even though they have a small lead. They have 4,000. I wouldn't say small. 4,000 is a very sizable lead. They're not gonna take the risk for a turret, and they're going straight for Lord. You can kind of see when it comes to the identity, which is the priority here. Like they're so willing to let go one objective to get the other one, and you can see because some teams, no matter what, they will not let you get the turret. They will die before they let the turret over to you. Yeah.
So at least for Homeboys, they understand value trading in this case.
Or for them, the value trade is always the neutral objective. Standing objectives is something you can get later, but the neutral ones, you kind of gotta get them when it's hot.
Okay.
Throws out the puppet just to wave clear, but look at the damage coming on Pex. Lands on the passive, that's half HP. Needs to pop the heal.
Yep, and Icon just playing around with the cables there, but Alchemy. Oh, look at
Penalties over. Icon is going ring around the royal. He is actually, his whole team gets engaged upon by Homeboy.
Oh, look at the back line.
And now Donnie's is down. The mid lane is already gone. And Icon goes for the hunt onto Pax. And now to bin, no curve, but Icon cannot pass through the wall. Pax snipes him down. And Jogs will get dragged, but it's okay. He's just here to buy some time. But Passive is letting down some damage. With no kill looking out. Here's the go away.
Oh,
and
nice.
the outplay coming up with Passive is huge. And that's how Alchemy wants to try to climb all the way back. But Jogs a little bit low.
All right, so Alchemy was able to defend that one, but I would say, even though it was good from them, it was in a way kind of uncoordinated because it really wasn't clean from both sides. Alchemy doesn't look like they practice their defense a lot. It's all about we talked about this before, like in the first or second clip just now, that their win condition is making sure that Pix as well as Enya is not in the fight, and that's what Icon did. And then the moment they did that, it looked like they were winning because they have way more damage because it's not a super invested draft of 1 or 2 people. It's just kind of like everyone has a thing that they can do, but you just got to do it well, which they are able to do it here. In a way, it almost seems like the front line the Danny as well as Puski, they're not entirely sure what they should be doing as well. They just have a rough idea, but not super like they don't see the future. They have no idea what's the next step, basically. So
Okay.
here I would say Alchemy is good because Icon is able to do what he was supposed to do, which is drop down perks as well as Enya.
So at least most of the time in this fight, it seems that Puski as well as Dani has just been crowd controlled to oblivion. Right?
From Derry then?
Yeah. It seems
Yeah,
like-
Derry and Veer as well, yeah.
Yeah. Dairy crowd controlling Puski, and then from that point on,
All right,
only
makes
the
sense
team
then.
start to go forward.
All right.
So they need to be going back into these two lanes to reinforce. Now Homeboys just need to do a clear big
But
push.
at least with how they're walking formation from Alchemy, it's very good. They have a very good system. EXP first, and then the tank third, because the tank has to back out just in case if someone gets dived on,
No vision.
which is very good.
Fear no
The
cure
counter
is in the
initiate if you're
most
looking for that.
Yeah.
best position he can be right now. He can be in the best right as Bush.
They-
Just
they-
waiting.
They know. They both
They know, they
right?
have to
And
know.
I feel
Okay.
Anthony's a little bit anxious as well, but
Okay,
Oh,
good.
that's gonna be the Astra Echo as well. We'll be revealing everybody. Bear no cure goes to the backline. Pacifist gets
Oh,
chunked down a
dear.
little bit low. He pops the go away models, but he
Oh,
gets
the
taken out by the decimation.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Yeah, one of the reasons you don't pick Melissa into Martis. Yeah.
Bags, legend, one shot once again. This guy is an absolute sniper from Homeboys SG. And Bags, man, he's looking for more. He knows he has a range. He lets one
Yeah. Do you know from Alchemy who's the shot caller?
And then again, Icon comes in.
The shot caller should be Icon.
Icon,
At
okay.
least it used to be Icon. I'm not too sure if whether the shot caller changed since Pacifist joined as the gold
Gold
laner.
laner?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he used to be Rome, right? So at least it still makes sense if he's shot calling, especially as the coach of Alchemy. But now I'm not too sure if whether it's the same thing or not, or they kind of bring it back to Icon.
I mean, his reaction towards the top wave was fast, so I would believe if he is the shot caller. It's just that I don't know. The team seems more passive, but maybe it is because of the draft. With that draft, they can't really be all that aggressive. Okay.
So at least for
'Cause-
this game, even for me, I feel that because of the draft, it's very difficult for them to play in the aggressive way.
Yeah, I kind of feel like for the first part, they were too focused on trying to counter what Homeboys is trying to do, and then on the second half, it kind of like put themselves in a bad situation where maybe Pacific doesn't have the widest hero pool here, because going up against a Brody and Bruno are the most like they did assault you in lane. Yeah, biggest lane bully. So kind of feel like other options might be a little bit better, but with that being said, it is kind of difficult to deal with Terizla as well as the Martis, because Terizla has a very interesting interaction with his pool from the
Penalty zone.
from the penalty zone that most marksmen can't do their basic attack because it just keeps on resetting the animation. So you need a attack speed kind of hero instead of a burst kind of hero. Terizla against the Brody is kind of disgusting because every single time Brody wants to pull back to do his auto attacks, it gets cancelled, and then you have to restart the animation over and over again.
Oh shit! I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, we figured that out during I can't remember which M series when Terizla started popping off again, and then during that time Brody was really strong, and then the player came up to me and was like, "Yo, what the hell? I can't do anything. Why do I not deal damage to the Terizla?" And then we rewind it. Every single time the Brody wants to charge the attack, gets pulled, so it resets. So you have to do it again.
Oh
So you
shit!
kinda- So you need a marksman that has very fast auto attacks, so your animation doesn't get cancelled, or you just really have to dash away from it very fast. So kind of feel like that's why the Melissa was picked, but it's not good against the Martis because the Martis kind of ignores the go away.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Interesting, right? Yeah.
yeah. Holy shit! Okay, so
Yeah.
that's definitely something that I can say in my cast now. Okay, so with the end of game one, Do you have any deductions about either these two teams, or you still or it's not enough information?
Homeboys, they put a lot of love towards their mid or gold. It could be either or. And they want very heavy front lines because they want to dominate the riverside. So that's definitely the identity for them. Mostly because it is more or less similar to how Homeboys Malaysia play. So it's easier for me to get that. Alchemy, it does seem like they're still trying to figure out what is their core identity. And I kind of feel like core identities, it's either the coach or the player. And here, looking at how they played just now, Icon played as well as he could, even though it's not a good jungle phase for him. So if they build around Icon, it could be much better. So kind of feel like the problem with this kind of draft is actually the Valentina. The Valentina doesn't do the best at controlling your own jungle. But the thing is, the Valentina is good against the Novaria because you can steal her ult. So I can understand why they drafted that way. But again, I kind of feel like they have to figure out a little bit more how to activate Icon.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you game 2. Perhaps this game will give you a better understanding and a better, a better deduction. Okay, that's game 2.
So first pick Fanny then?
First pick Fanny, yes.
All right, so there you can already see the identity there. It's like, yeah, our jungler is amazing. We want to activate for him. This time, a very good reaction having the Terizla. Basically, just make sure that your EXP is going to be fine. There's no cutting lane shenanigans. The Faramis is interestingly quite good in jungle invades because you can use your Shadow Stampede to pull people inside the turret, right, through the walls and everything like that. So a very quick response. Betting out the Novaria, I feel like it's just respect. The Kadita as well as the Fredrin. The Fredrin is going to be pretty good at invading as well. So perhaps they have a rough idea that, yeah, Icon is the key here. Joy, Claude, Edith. Whenever you see an Edith ban, it means that it's going to be a heavy front line because Edith is pretty good at just, basically just good at controlling your opponents. Now, the thing is, the Xborg pick is because they picked up the Faramis. Because Xborg's biggest weakness is getting bursted down, meaning your Furaka armor is not there whenever the fight starts. So picking up the Faramis is good, but it does mean that Xborg is pretty free. So this one, I would say, is a pretty good response coming in from Homeboys.
Okay, so next, and that is the full line. Oh crap! Why suddenly like this? Okay. Oh, no wonder. Okay. Now this is the full draft.
Yo, Ixia. Okay. I like it. And I like that they picked up the Valir as well. There's so much protection for pacifists here. It really does show that he's telling everyone, be my bitch and sacrifice yourself for me. Because this is such a protect the queen composition that has a +1 win condition when it comes to the side lanes. And I kind of feel like the Beretta is just there to like make sure there's no side lane shenanigans, getting split pushed and stuff. So I feel like the Benedetta is a pretty good response, but this does force the Xborg to go in the jungle, which not the best because you kind of want the Xborg to go up against the Terizla. So I kind of feel like Alchemy in a way won this draft, but it's also very risky because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. So interesting. I like it, but interesting. Oh wait, Angela ban as well as the Lance ban. Okay, the Lance ban, very very understandable. Angela, understandable as well. Bruno, Melissa, I think they would be fine letting the Melissa go, but maybe it's just respect. But okay, gotcha.
I would assume that Homeboys is probably trying to tackle on to pacifist comfort with other marksmen, because I think that the main thing that the Homeboys, and in fact most of the SG MPL players that knows, is that pacifist is a roam player, and looking at him play marksman must be something that is very surprising to a lot of us. And now it's about the question is how much is it possible? How much is possible to? No, what am I saying? How much?
No wonder
they
he
can
picked the
stretch it.
Melissa just now. Yeah. No wonder he picked up the Melissa even though it was a bad matchup. Okay, makes more sense. Yeah.
And for your context, Pacifist is also the coach. In case I didn't mention that, so it
Yeah,
would
you
also
kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah, it would also make sense how this draft.
He's controlling everyone. Yeah.
So you actually got it right about the B by BH
Yeah.
die for me kind of situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
To
now-
be fair, I was right about another thing before as well, but I think it was about the Melissa picks. Yeah, but yeah, okay, cool. At least I know my stuff. Got it.
Yes, you did. Okay, so now let's take a look at the clip, and here we go. Oh wait,
Oh, I think it was for the previous game one.
Back into these two lanes.
oh wait, shit.
Out of the map, Alchemy on the other end have already
Oh shit, it got rewritten. So
It's all good.
yeah, okay. So
Oh, this is
we'll
the
start,
this
we'll
is
start
start one.
Yeah.
Alchemy
Yeah.
allows
This is the
Homeboy
second tunnel.
full map control.
Exactly, full map control.
Well, look at that. 4 minutes in, and what is Homeboys doing? They're already there.
Yep, all of 5.
Yeah.
All 5.
Yeah, all 5. So see, you can already see their identity here. Alchemy, they're responding.
Onto the tunnel.
Interesting.
Now Derek does it. Nice
Oh, that's so good.
save the team, but would it be enough? Verno can go all the way to the back line. It's going to be the last
Oh.
and also the retribution that picks up the turtle and the damage.
Okay.
Is there.
Oh my god! Oh, it's so bad. But okay. All right. Just from here, again, it solidifies what we said before. Homeboys Riverside team, but Alchemy, they look way more willing to fight with this draft, which does show that this time is a more focused draft. It's all about team fighting with a +1 advantage in case you want to split. So they look a little bit more comfortable. So they could be a team that is kind of like the Ube strat kind of team, you know, where it's like we're all gonna be moving together and we're gonna respond to fight. So perhaps they're a team fight team, but with a +1 advantage in the side. So all right, interesting. I like how they responded, even though Homeboy still secured the turtle. I think it's just more about how Dale is just like, you will die for this turtle. I'm just letting you know, you will die, but you will die for the turtle. It's like, okay.
Okay.
Really showing up to be what it might have supposed to be.
Exactly. And right there, I mean, they had the right idea. Alchemy had the right. Wow.
What's this?
I
Level
was
6 and already
not thinking
giving.
any of it.
Okay, so I guess like they're very efficient, knowing after 5 minutes the jungler will immediately go for the side lanes. And
access to the jungle, right? But no.
okay, so this is also another thing you have to watch out for. If the mid laner will sacrifice his mid lane minions for the gold laner, which this time doesn't look to be so. I think if he holds the lane, it's not going to be good for him as well. Okay, he doesn't.
This is kind of like the situation whereby the mage relegates himself to a position 4 instead of a 3.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Toda whenever Chico is playing gold lane. It's kind of like, your minions are pretty good, but they're better for me, you know?
Yep.
So maybe you should help the jungler securing the turtle and let me get your mid lane wave, you know?
Yep. Okay, wait. Let me take a look. Okay, yeah. The Beatrix pretty much joined into the mid pretty early as well. I think they tried to go for a fight in the bottom lane, but I don't think that they managed to get anything out of that.
Yeah, either they realize their team fight is way stronger or this is just their comfort. So it could be just very good understanding of the draft or, you know, they just like to fight. Which I do like teams that just like to fight.
Item, but I think the
Gives me
bigger
more
thing that
action.
I wanna
And I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we do.
attack speed
Wow.
Stop being a puss, you know?
of this
Yeah,
Which
just,
one would?
what's so difficult? Just go in and fight only.
because of the buff.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you die, it's for a good cause.
Yeah.
Oh, the cat.
only.
Yeah, here, can we go back again? Like, who was the aggressor? It looked like it came from Homeboys, but let's just double confirm.
Which one?
Right, switch jogs. Blah, blah, blah.
Because of the buff recently, because of the XCR, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically,
Oh,
it's
the
a
cat.
two-man thing. Deer
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well as Jox.
It looked like they just wanted the buff. It doesn't really look like they. Yeah. So again, jungle domination coming in from Homeboys. Okay.
But I mean, that's good for them,
Oh,
right? I think this
1v1?
was
And Alchemy, they were very quick to respond to fights. And right now, Pacifist is down at bot, taking it. Yeah, I do feel like Alchemy is looking at the game in a very fundamental way of trading. I feel like trading is also a big thing because they have the fanny to trade, and it looks like they roughly understand that Pacifist is gonna be alone, so just let him get a trade in. Okay. But in this game, because the kill score is so low, I don't know if Alchemy doesn't engage in a lot of fights or Homeboys just keeps on avoiding it.
If I'm not wrong, Alchemy didn't engage in a lot of fights. If I remember. Yep.
So both games, they're very passive, not great. Okay.
They were passive and they are mostly reacting to fights instead of creating one of themselves.
So reacting to the draft and reacting to the fights.
Yeah.
Got it.
At least what I see here is, and my theory is more of the fact that Puski is kind of like quote unquote stuck in this lane being the front line, and their roamer doesn't have a very good way of locking and catching people.
True.
Kind of like a retreat comp to a certain extent.
Yeah. You kind of want the Kufra to dive. Right? If the Kufra dives in and then Danny just like pushes him away and then stun locks him. Yeah.
Like the first clip that we saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're banking on pacifist, right? Ixia as well. And you mentioned
Their defense isn't going to be the best. It's only on pacifist.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, that's what he wants to do. Okay, Kufra goes in and I'm gonna push him away, but just waiting for that.
Going all the way to the backline, trying to wave clear the heroes for the side of Homeboys, but then again, they forgot about the Lord pillaging onto the core. But then again, luckily,
it's crazy how over 10 minutes and a few clips can kind of tell you what the team is about.
I'm kind of surprised as well. I was a little bit scared that it doesn't give us enough information.
Yeah, crazy how just a few seconds of clips be like, yeah, we roughly understand how things shake up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was a
Maybe next time I can consider, picking up a game where they win and a game where they lost.
Nah, honestly, this is just one of those skills that I picked up. As an analyst, you have to watch a lot of games. So you kind of have to have a very good understanding of what's important and what's like fluff in the game to be like, yeah, I can analyze the game very, very fast and then basically just skim through, and whichever game seems more important, that's where you dive in a little bit deeper.
Ah, okay.
Which, throughout our careers, we will learn how to do that.
Yeah. It will take me quite some time. I'm focusing a little bit more on color this season. That is if I'm able to get myself onto that seat.
Honestly, as a color, you would learn that very fast as well. Because you want to find the storyline and eventually you just learn it. Yeah.
shoot basically.
As a play-by-play, it's more difficult. As a color, it's gonna be easier for you to learn that skill.
I guess I've got that working for me to a certain extent, being mostly color and being the stupid one.
Penalty zone onto Dairy. They're trying to get Dairy.
Oh, that was clean.
One in the same. It makes it feel like Pax is the true Turista player, but no.
Looking at the game, it might be Homeboys focusing on perks because damn, the dude looks good. What the heck?
That's a GG push.
Sneaks away a purple buff when everything's happening. Homeboys right here will go for the home run, ladies and gentlemen. Super Jogs already activated on flame. What can Icon do but just rotate around, trying to use the energy to wave? Jogs will press on the issue though. Last Insanity will be able to clip. Danny gets pushed all the way back. Homeboys right here, just go for the kill.
I can kind of see the identity of Homeboys as well, where the front line is the jungler. Having the Martis as well as the export and seeing how the export plays, kind of feel like the call was for the jungler to kind of like chunk him down and as much as he can, and then run away relatively safely, and then let others to kind of finish things up for him. Not entirely the same as Homeboys Malaysia because they don't always play like that, but there was a version in time that they played like that. So again, a lot of mirroring that I can see.
So that's the end of game number 2. What can we tell about Alchemy and Homeboys now?
I feel like Alchemy, they need to have a very set game plan because for now, it does seem like they're being a little bit too reactionary. And it might be that they're not fully sure about their matchups in lane, as well as how the jungle terrain works for their favor. Because it does seem like 5 players that are mechanically gifted, but they're just playing on the same team, but they're not really working that well together just yet. Because when you said that Puski is kind of like just staying in his lane, he can't do much. It's also part of the draft because you should have a mid laner as well as a jungler to kind of like let your Terizla roam free. Or if your Terizla is stuck in lane, it should be handling against 3 or 4 people. And if he's handling 3 or 4 people, there's going to be a lot of empty spots on the map. So they should be able to tackle it relatively well. In terms of, I feel like they could be reacting a little bit better, understanding that homeboys, they will sacrifice their lanes for the turtle and just attack the lanes, you know. It seemed, it's one of those things that after you watch the game again, you'll be like, oh, dude, we should have not rotated at all and just stayed in our lanes and it probably would be fine. But
Just kind of gung-ho that lane.
yeah, but then eventually homeboys would just figure out like, guys, we don't have to go to the turtle. They're not going to the turtle. We could just send Super Jocks alone and he can deal it by himself. So, you know, so for now, it's sad to say Alchemy doesn't have a identity yet. I think they're still figuring that out. Well, homeboys, they have like, yep, turtle, lord. If we don't have to fight, we don't have to, and then just push the end.
Okay, so regarding Alchemy, I would say that even for myself, I would say that yes, they do not have an identity just yet. They have a lot of ways that they would want to execute stuff, and there's a lot of ways that they will play to the point that their team dynamics actually changes a lot. So Pacifist actually just changed back to being a roamer in week 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And for Icon, he actually plays a lot of different style of junglers. So he's not necessarily famous for playing Fanny or playing Fredrin. He's mostly just kind of like filling up the slots, and what works in the meta, he will play it.
Got it. Okay. So he's a Swiss Army knife then.
Yes, that is right. And he's still very mechanically skilled, despite all
Got
that.
it. Got it.
For Homeboys, they had a very good run so far from week 1 and week 2, but they just recently got defeated by RSG in a 2-1 fashion.
Ooh, okay.
And they were doing not bad. Game one was sad. Game 2 was great. But Game 3 is where Coach Dale actually tried something a little bit different, which actually solidified even more about Homeboy's team identity. So after looking at all of these games or clips, what is your idea of picks?
I already see him as the playmaker because you said that Novaria is pretty good. That is an indication that someone is very skilled at doing skill shots, because Novaria is not picked because she's not good. It's just because it's always a 50-50 whether you hit your shots or you don't. So you will see some great Novaria plays, but most of the time you will see a nothing Novaria play. You know, it's kind of like you're just there to provide vision, and then your first skill is more reliable than your second skill. So the fact that he's good on the Novaria kind of shows that he has good mechanical skills. And seeing the Valentina just now having 3-man penalty zone, I'm like, okay, I can start to see that maybe he's more favored in the draft. I don't know. Is RG doing well in Singapore?
RSG is, I mean, the last that we know of about them is a 3-time champion, and so far they lost once to Flash.
That's very interesting because in Malaysia, RSG also only lost once for now.
For now, at least for now.
But the thing is, they only lost to Homeboys.
And
this one, RSG beat Homeboys. It's like, okay.
RSG beat Homeboys. They
All right,
actually,
interesting.
I would very confidently say that RSG could have lost to Homeboys if they stuck to their identity of keeping Pex as the playmaker. This is what happened in the third game.
I see.
So
Pex really is the playmaker then?
Yes. So at least from how we saw in week 1 and week 2 is very it can be evaluated that way, right?
Okay.
The entire game requires a series all by itself to an analysis. But the long story short is he for game 3 he was relegated into position 4 to play as an Angela that babysits a Link.
Okay. At least nice to know that I'm getting a lot of things right. Great.
So verdict on Homeboys.
River domination, jungle control, call it whatever, but those areas, yeah.
And Alchemy?
Where's Alchemy? Yeah, because
But jungle oriented as well.
Yeah, but the second game, it was very clear that it's just playing for pacifists, where they like a put all your eggs in one basket kind of game. Where the first game, it was all over the place. It's like there was no synergy at all.
They were very very
Because they were very passive, very passive. Yeah,
super
but
passive.
but you don't want your identity to be called as passive, you know.
Unless you have a player called Pacifist.
That's the identity, the passive
Exactly.
team.
The passive team.